if you're looking to refinance and sell some stuff, are you considering like buying different types of real estate, buying different types of investment assets? Will you go into a different class of asset?
Yeah, one of the interesting things I've learned, and I've noticed now over the past little bit, half my portfolio is student rental, and the other half are small multifamily. And everyone knows this. Student rentals definitely take more management. They can be more headaches. There's benefits to them as well. You want those higher quality problems, right?
Are you concerned about how your portfolio is depreciating against Dogecoin?
Yeah, exactly. Like when you compare this Dogecoin is just blowing everything out of the water recently.
Any words of wisdom for someone that may be watching your first YouTube video on my channel right now?
I think one thing is don't be afraid to invest in yourself.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video, we catch up with Dylan McLaughlin. You guys remember Dylan, right? We had all those cool thumbnails in the past essentially saying like, I forget, 27 years, like 5 properties, no job, things like that. Dylan's always just been a fascinating character in the real estate world, and in fact, he was really the first real estate investor I networked with. So I remember posting way back I think probably my first post on Bigger Pockets, where I was looking to get connected with other Canadian real estate investors, and it turns out Dylan had posted on the London, Ontario Bigger Pockets page or thread, whatever it was. Anyways, that's how we got connected. We ended up starting London on Fire together and really have grown a bunch of different communities like Real London as well, which was a real estate investing networking group. So always fun to catch up with Dylan, hear what's new, and he's been growing his portfolio and moving in to some larger deals. So looking forward to breaking that down in today's video.
What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here. I've got Dylan McLaughlin joining me. Hey, Dylan, how's it going?
Hey, man, going good.
Good. So it's probably been about a year, maybe a year and a half now since probably the last time you were on the channel, I'm guessing. So yeah, I'd love to just kind of catch up and see, how has your business evolved? What are you doing these days? And let's maybe start it off where, at the start of 2020, where were things for you?
Definitely. So the start of 2020 was a really good time. I was just wrapping up a really large 6-plex project. That was kind of the last video update I did with you. Finishing up a 6-plex. And then around that time, I don't believe, maybe we had just touched base. I had acquired a really run down, like full gut property that needed to be renovated. And I was kind of just starting that process. I had maybe just acquired or just been through the negotiations. So that had been an exciting one. And then, other than that, just kind of keeping the business running, managing all the units, all the rentals. I'm at about 25 units now. So, it's starting to be a bit of a thing, managing them, a bit of a part-time job. So yeah, just keeping all that going. And then also dealing with all the, trying to slip and dodge and weave all the punches that come through with COVID happening.
Mm-hmm. And so like, I guess a year ago or a little bit over a year ago, you were still doing a lot of the rentals yourself on your projects, or were you outsourcing most of it? What was that?
Yeah, so actually, it's been kind of interesting. I can even start maybe even a little bit earlier because I love how in my progressions on your channel. I feel like, so I started years ago doing all the rentals myself, like everything. Then kind of the next step in that evolution was hiring on kind of more cheap laborers, guys on Kijiji, friends, buddies. Everybody's handy. Everyone's like, oh, I can do a little bit of carpentry. Oh, I can lay some flooring down. Oh, I can do some painting. So, bringing on guys like that. And then finding some guys to do that you can build a relationship with, and they can maybe take on a little bit more autonomy, take on more projects, and guys you actually kind of trust to do more of that work, because that's a huge component when you're hiring guys on, whether it be any type of company. And then lately, so pretty much when we touched base last, that's when I had brought on a GC to work with me on some jobs. So basically had a GC that was running multiple of my projects. He had all of his guys underneath him, as well as a wealth of construction experience. So I was working with him. And so, yeah, we were scaling up, we were building some projects. And then now recently, almost this past month, it's really accelerated. I've got 4 properties that have ongoing projects within them. So there are 2 units in a 4-plex. There is the Farnsborough one just finishing up. So it's a 2-unit building that the entire building's being finished up. Now the exterior of my 6-plex, now that we're into better weather, getting that all wrapped up, as well as I'm working on there's a large 11-bedroom student rental that I'm prepping for sale with a partner. So now it's not only my GC and he's got a couple projects. I've got some other new guys I'm testing out. And then with my partner, I'm working with him and some of our contractors there. So it's cool having, yeah, it's like that. The tree kind of just builds the roots out, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So have you sold all your tools? Are you at that stage of independence from the operations?
No, man, it's so funny because I clearly remember one time I was asking to borrow a tool from you, and you were telling me you're like, dude, I know where it is. It's in the shed, but don't even ask me where this is because I don't want to know even where this tool is. And I think about that a lot, man. I think about that a lot. So yeah, I'm still kind of fixing up things in the cracks. So the last renovation at Farnsborough that I did, that house, I'm a licensed electrician, work as an electrician by trade. So that one, I did all of the electrical myself. And that was kind of interesting. I definitely got the good value out of that. And that was fun. And it's even kind of, it does the heart good. But from a business perspective, you really do start to realize the importance of being able to divorce your time from the project, because you never want to be the bottleneck in your own project. Like that's the worst. And then also even switching hats from a manager position to a technician, to then like even being in the entrepreneurial mode where you're thinking about future goals and stuff like that. It does get really hard. So yes, I still have my tools in my car. I'm still riding around. I'm still doing little things here and there, but slowly learning to piece that out. So.
Awesome. And then, so as you've been kind of removing yourself from a lot of the day-to-day operations on the real estate, are you working a day job? Are you focusing on wholesaling? Where do you find most of your time spent, or is it on finding like the next deal?
Yeah, right now, really the time is spent just kind of analyzing the long-term goals and then kind of trying to work backwards from there and have all the deadlines lined up and make sure that everything kind of really, that is the most important part, right? Being a CEO, being a business operator, you're thinking in the future, you're forward thinking, and you're trying to work back on what objectives need to be hit or what bottlenecks could come up, things like that. Additionally, too, I'm still also spending a lot of time right now with the city, just dealing with city permitting, city licensing, the inspections there, paying those little fees behind the thing, paying for a lot of extraneous materials. So I guess that is really, and I think as anyone who's kind of looking at things like a business and operating things like a business, I think that's where a lot of your time does end up getting taken up, trying to remove these little bottlenecks, because until you build a system that's robust enough to take care of those things, or put people in those positions that can do that, you end up kind of becoming the one that has to put out those fires or, unclog those pipes in the system, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And so what are some of the big milestones you're reverse engineering right now?
Yeah, so the big milestones right now, that's a great question. I wish I had more of the flow chart in front of me. Basically, and how much I want to even share kind of thing, because, they say you don't want to share your goals necessarily publicly. But right now, I think the big thing is I really just the big end goal is to have all my projects finished up, everything renovated, everything rented out, highest and best use, and then fully refinanced. And so that's kind of right now like a really big North Star of mine. To tell the truth, I really haven't been focusing as much on acquisitions, given this current economy with all the real estate prices and everything like that, the amount of competition, the amount of bidding wars. It is very aggressive right now. And, there's still great deals. It still could be a good time for buying. There's many different ways to look at how the economy is and kind of analyze that kind of stuff. Thankfully, I am busy enough. I do have enough work on my plate and enough stuff that's keeping me busy, keeping me developing professionally, even as well as financially. But yeah, so right now, a big focus is getting the things off my plate, getting them all finished up, cleaned up really nicely, and then kind of seeing where I'll go from there. You know what I mean? Especially too, that's the kind of the exciting part of visualizing like a nice big sum of money, a big pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Part of you starts thinking about what are you going to do with that pot of gold, right? So.
Awesome. So are you considering selling any of your real estate right now, or are you holding everything you've got?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, so it's kind of cool. This is a bit of a mindset shift for me. I never really planned on selling any of my acquisitions because you do put so much time into buying it, renovating it, all those kind of things. But so right now I do own a duplex with a partner. That partner is shout out to Mike Rosehart really quick. Great guy in the space. I'm sure a lot of people already know and follow him. But so me and him partnered up on that deal. It was a large 11-bedroom student rental that I think I've mentioned before on your channel. And so we owned that one for a very brief period of time, really. And we were renting it out. Everything was going good. It was becoming more difficult to operate in the COVID environment because it is a multi-bedroom, kind of like a student rental. And I'm really noticing a dampening on demand for the student rental bedrooms. And so because of that, it was getting more difficult to operate. The margins were still there. Some months things were going okay. Some months things were a little tight, especially when some renovations came up. But then really, me and my partner, we started looking at the market and looking at the prices things were going for. And it just became such a no-brainer. It's like, I remember there's a meetup that me and you were at years ago, and there was a group of guys there. And I remember their quick rule of thumb is they're like, if we can take 5 years of profit off the table and get that from a sell right away, then we're going to just do that. We're going to do that every single time. And so, there's probably even more. There's almost 10 years of profit locked up in this building at the sale. So in that case, and once again, real estate could keep going up. We might be missing out on some appreciation on this building. But so me and my partner decided, we're just going to sell that. We're going to take the money and run, if you will. So yeah, we're prepping that one for sale, which is kind of interesting too, because you're kind of, when you're buying something to hold for a long term, you kind of have different considerations when you're renovating it, when you're buying material, when you're doing stuff, when you're getting ready for a sale. It's very much a move fast, move fast, try not to break things kind of attitude. So yeah, it's fun.
Gotcha. Yeah. And are you concerned about how your portfolio is depreciating against Dogecoin?
Yeah, exactly. Like when you compare this Dogecoin is just blowing everything out of the water recently. It's the kind of, I don't know what it is, man. I don't know.
So,
it's crazy.
I am curious though, if you're looking to refinance and sell some stuff, are you considering buying different types of real estate, buying different types of investment assets? Will you go into a different class of asset?
Yeah, that's a really good question, man. And once again, so I'm just going to share some stuff as openly as I can. I'm no financial expert, so any viewers, I'm sure guys will listen. What is he thinking? Other guys might be like, that could be good advice. So yeah, one of the interesting things I've learned and I've noticed now over the past little bit, half my portfolio is student rental and the other half are small multifamily. And everyone knows this. Student rentals definitely take more management. They can be more headaches because there's more turnover and things like that. There's benefits to them as well. But so especially as your net worth starts growing and you start accumulating more money and you're in more of a position of financial security, small headaches really start to be more frustrating, right? Because you want to start focusing on bigger and better things. You want those higher quality problems, right? You don't want to have to deal with, another door that got kicked in or, a bunch of little elbow holes in drywall every year when there's turnover, little annoying things like that. And so, I'm definitely thinking right now I would try to position, kind of move away from the student rentals, to be honest. If the money is there, if the deals are profitable, I'm still there any day of the week. You know what I mean? If the money's on the table, I'm going to take it. But the market does look very hot. Student rental prices are still very high because a lot of them are still in the single family. They're kind of like single family houses that have the ability to student rental or can convert over. So you're still getting those emotional buyers at the single family price level, which is very high. So the market doesn't seem super advantageous for student rentals right now. But although, it's not a blanket statement. Student rentals are a very flexible kind of strategy. So, people can still find deals there. But probably in the future, I won't be focusing on them as much personally. I think too, even a big motivating thing, like I said, I'm not super motivated right now in terms of acquisitions. That's not where my focus is. But even too, from a personal growth standpoint, I think everyone that gets into real estate investing, as you start acquiring more, you start thinking it'd be cool to do some bigger buildings as well, take down a whale of a deal or something like that. So, that's a little bit on the vision board, on the goals board there. Mm-hmm. Aside from that, fixer-uppers, problem properties are always going to be valued. If you can buy in that wedge, if you can buy on those borderlands, get those deals, buy those problems and fix them, and then problems are profits, right? So, those are always juicy. It's just the thing is to how much bandwidth you have, how much problems can you put up with, or how good is your systems of taking care of them. So, real estate still a big component. Although another thing as well, once I do start refinancing more, I kind of want to, and I might go kind of against Bitcoin, but I am definitely bullish Bitcoin. I kind of want to refinance some of my real estate because right now I'm irresponsibly long real estate in terms of my portfolio. Everything's in there. And that's been very good to me over these past, 5-6 years. However, I do want to diversify a little bit, take some money off the table and put that into, just your conventional boring stocks. I know you probably lost half the viewers of this video already. But I do want to put a little bit there, diversify with that. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with stocks, with options to hedge some of your risk. a lot of banking institutions offer really interesting leverage packages. So if you do have a stock portfolio, because you got to think about it, banks are still the key holders to a lot of debt. And a lot of the debt is what you can use, especially in this economy, to leverage up even further and acquire more assets. So if you have things that make the banks happy, like a large stock portfolio, they enjoy seeing that, and they will give you other, debt in the future. So I'm thinking of having a little bit of that, getting some income off of that. And then the third kind of thing is I do want to start getting more into cryptocurrencies as well. Right now, I just haven't gotten too much into that space. And, I do love the space. I'm super bullish about it. I think that's the way things are moving forward 100%. I guess one kind of thought I've always had is that I feel like a lot of this, I feel like we're in this economy, a bit of an everything bubble. If you look at real estate, if you look at stocks, if you look at Bitcoin, if you look at cryptocurrencies, if you look at even Pokemon cards are selling like crazy. If you look at lumber, commodities, like almost every asset class. So I feel like if the tide does recede, I feel like there's certain asset classes that are a bit stickier or won't recede as far, or maybe do have a bit more robustness. If we do see any little dips, any little shocks, I think somebody who does have a large enough portfolio or is able to move their money around enough can maybe then move into some of those things and take advantage. Once again, I think some of the stronger cryptocurrencies are going to be good long-term assets as well. But the people who buy them now have to be ready to waive that volatility. Whereas I think people who maybe feel like they missed out, it's like, well, not really. You just got to wait. There's such volatility in that system that, it could just take a little volatile dip and then you can buy in, right? So yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at things in terms of a bunch of the different assets as well.
Awesome. Yeah, really appreciate you breaking that down for us, Dylan. I guess just before we wrap this up, any words of wisdom for someone that maybe, is watching your first YouTube video on my channel right now? They're 4 or 5 years younger than you are, wanting to get started today. Any words of wisdom for them or any changes in approach?
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing is don't be afraid to invest in yourself. That's been one just little thing recently, just to tie that into a few things. So recently I picked up this Oura ring for health tracking in terms of sleep and health metrics. And it's just so fascinating, the amount of things that you can learn from it. Don't spend indiscriminately on yourself. Don't be ridiculous about it. But, compare, this option was a bit more expensive, but comparing this to all the free options, complete game changer, total difference. And then the other one recently is, so last year I spent almost the whole year, like many Canadians, getting into golf because it was one of the only things we could do at the time. And, I was banging my head against the wall almost all year. And then this year I decided, screw all that. I'm just going to get a private coach and see how that goes. And honestly, it was mind blowing. Within 30 minutes, he had, picked up some things in my swing, completely changed everything. So once again, it was sure, there's a bit of a sticker price, but the value of my time and, picking something up quickly. And then even too, my private coach, he's a cool guy, great relationship, somebody who's super knowledgeable about golf. So yeah, I would say that if somebody's starting out, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. I'm not trying to say just spend indiscriminately, but definitely and Matt, you know this as well. Money can solve so many problems. And so when you start Pete, you got to apply that to business. You got to apply that to your health. You got to apply that to skills or hobbies or, any course of life you can. Use that money to solve your problems, right? Problems, profits, and then you use those profits to solve those problems again, right? It's cyclical.
Awesome. Appreciate it. And before I let you go, Dylan, we've always had great thumbnails with you. So what should be the flex for this thumbnail? How many units? What's the age? What are we going to flex on this time?
Yeah, no, I was trying to think about that. Something about I wanted to kind of set it up something like weathering uncertainty or dealing with it would be cool, a celebrity boxing match or something like that. I know that's blown up with YouTube right now.
Did you buy 19 units during COVID or something? Bought 19 units during COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And then a little that'd be cool.
Awesome. Well, appreciate it, Dylan. If people want to follow along with you on your journey, can they, and where can they?
100%. So they can follow me on Instagram at Dylan McLaughlin, Facebook Dylan McLaughlin as well.
If they go a month without seeing activity, don't panic. The Instagram's not broken, right?
No, exactly. I was actually definitely really pulling away from it recently. Now I'm posting the odd story here or there for fun stuff. But you know what? I love it. I love it when people hit me up with like good questions, good quality questions. You know, you get ridiculous ones all the time or really Google search questions. But I always love it, you know, when people are asking really thought out questions. And so I love to connect. So feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan.
Cool. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks again to Dylan for taking the time to shoot this video. If you guys got value from this video, smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're new to my channel, and let us know who else on the channel should we do a catch-up video with. Let me know in the comment section, and we'll see you in the next video.